in the pinnacle content, if you don't one-shot everything, you are one-shot. The mobs are going at 200 miles per hour. And if you want the combat to be more meaningful, and they did say it, these words came out of Jonathan's mouth, the objective is that the combat is more meaningful. Hey guys, yesterday we had the big developer interview that DM and Gassy did to Jonathan and Mark, and they answered a lot of questions in there, but the actual interview is like 2 hours long, and I am a yapper. If I react to the full interview, we will be here for 6 hours. So I am watching Rax's video summarizing everything in just 20 minutes. This is shorter to the point, so we will go over everything that was said in the interview, brother. So let's fucking go, dude.
Hi everyone, it's Rax.
Hi.
Darth Microtransaction and Gazzy just did an interview with the 2 lead people from Grinding Gear Games, Jonathan and Mark, and asked them a bunch of questions about the upcoming game. So I'm just giving you a summary of everything that happened. And I believe it was live streamed on DM's Twitch channel, and the full interview is on Gazzy's YouTube. So I'll try to link that, and you should go check out the full interview. The full interview is going to have more information than what I'm going to give you here. I'm just going to try to rocket through the stuff as fast as I possibly can so you can have the info.
Thank you for that, Rax.
Patch notes when? New Zealand's Thursday, so we might get them on Wednesday. When the patch notes arrive, I'll do a big analysis on it. I'll have a video up. Again, if you don't want to read the 500 pages, I'll read them and go through it and give you a summary.
Same. I am going to do that too.
Are the shield block changes in this patch? They need to finish some animations, but they think that they will be in the 0.2.
Nice.
Is the intention to make people use the active block with shields? It needs more mechanics that make it alluring to use other than on boss fights. They're testing something in this regard.
Nobody uses the active block. You guys know this. The only way I have been using people, and that I've seen people using the active block, is to use an spirit gem that is called Magma Barrier and on bosses, because that ability does a lot of damage. So there are builds that people do with the warrior where they just block an ability from the boss with Magma Barrier, and then the boss fucking dies just because of that. It is insane. But that is the only way you actually active block. And now that they are introducing the parry with the Huntress, if they don't reward you from doing this enough, and because of the way the game plays where the mobs are 200 miles per hour, I don't think that people are going to be parrying a lot in the end game unless it is to bosses and for something very specific. But let's see what they cook with this shit. Dude, over 60% of you are not subscribed. Why are you like this? Just click the button, dude. It is quick, it is easy, it is free. You get content, I get a sub, win-win situation. Just click the button, my dude.
To make active block enticing to use when there's like 500 monsters around you.
Yep.
Is Magic Find changing? Yes, it's being...
Thank you very much. All my homies hate Rarity. Rarity is stupid. It shouldn't exist. I am happy that they are nerfing it. It is still going to be something that people are going to do, because what they did was the diminishing returns. They improved the diminishing returns. People are going to still likely want to have 100, 150 Rarity and then 100, I don't know. And it is going to be mandatory to have this 100 Rarity. But at least it is basic. It is not hard cap, but it is basically capped. And that is good. All my homies say Rarity. Hard Rarity is stupid. It shouldn't exist. At least they are improving it in some way.
Nerfed. It's getting diminishing returns. And the best rarity items are also being nerfed. This is not the final version of what they're going to do. For an example, on diminishing returns.
Oh, that is awesome. So they are nerfing it, but they are still... have more tweaks planned for the future. That is awesome. You know what is the ultimate tweak for this? For Rarity and Magic Find and all of that. Like the best thing you can do with this, remove it from the game. That is the best thing, trust me.
On Magic Find, having 400 rarity versus 800 rarity might give you 3% more items. So in general, I think a lot of people do not like Magic Find on gear at all, because in order to find really awesome items, people like to just make their character stronger. Your character is stronger, your character is faster, your character has lower cooldowns, and that lets you clear the maps easier and that gives you more items.
Yes.
When you have to actually find a way to fit magic finding, like rarity, into your items, you have to start giving up certain things of power, and people usually don't like that.
I hate it.
So I don't mind these changes at all. Are you flipping the item tiers? They haven't looked at that, but more on this later. Are you happy with the current state of the trials? They said the end bosses.
Oh, I said all of that, guys. Hey, I am the tangent god. Like, nobody goes on tangents better than me. I said all of that because they said that they are not flipping the tiers. Or yet, that they haven't looked at it. And later in this interview, they say, oh, tier 1. So they are thinking about the PoE 1 tiers still. So that is proof that they should flip the tiers, by the way.
Accidentally had double the health, like Tornado Bird. They don't want to change anything fundamental, but the bosses need to be improved and the monsters, and it's not random enough and it feels repetitive. I find them quite boring, so I hope these changes will be enough, but I think a lot of people don't like the trials. The trial of the Sekimas and the Ultimatum. I don't think many.
I love Ultimatum. I know that a lot of people hate Ultimatum, and I don't know why. I hate Ultimatum in PoE 1. In PoE 1, it sucks dick. In PoE 2, you just go forward, do the trial, everything is cool, everything is fine. You have on your control to select the affliction that you like the most or you dislike the least. Everything will be fine. Now, the trial of the Suck My Balls, that shit sucks dick and should be obliterated and nuked from orbit. I hate the trial of the Suck My Balls. Nah, I think Asmongold's runs are longer than yours. He will go for 30 minutes straight.
People like them. Are the pinnacle bosses going to be a challenge now since they were previously killed instantly? They hope so, but the community always finds super strong builds.
True.
The T0 pinnacles now have their health reduced by half, and you have to do 50% fewer maps to fight the bosses.
That is awesome news, dude. That is awesome news because I play this game to fight these motherfucker bosses. And if I have to do all this crazy shit to be able to fight a boss, that pisses me off. Now you have to do fewer maps to fight the bosses. That is fucking awesome.
So if you played previously and you couldn't even get enough stuff to go fight the pinnacle boss once, it's going to be a lot easier next time. Are there going to be alternate victory conditions for maps, aka not killing all of the rares?
I did a video about this, by the way.
They fear that the other things that they could implement will get boring or be unpopular. They want to just put more interesting things within the maps. And boss maps will now have the boss kill as the completion. I believe that that's new, but it is still advantageous to kill all the rares in a boss map because that will give you a sustain drop that they're building in on the final rare kill.
I agree with this decision by them, by the way. What I want them to do is, again, this is like the 10th time I repeat this shit. Just give me wherever it ready is from the start of the map. That way I avoid backtracking and I am not going to ask you for another objective. Just tell me where the rares are. I will go and kill all the rares. Everyone will be happy. The problem is that when you don't know where the rares are, you spend a lot of time walking around looking for these motherfuckers, and that is annoying.
To help you keep up with your maps. And there will be objectives listed on the side of the maps so you know what you can complete in that specific map as you run it. Do rogue exiles get stronger in the endgame tiers? Yes, they start appearing in part 2 of the campaign because they have a full set of skills. They said it would be unfair if a rogue exile tried to fight you when you're a starter and you have 2 skills. They appear in 1 out of every 12 maps.
That is low. In my opinion, that is low. They should appear in more unless you can buff this in some way. With tablets, with the Atlas 3, whatever. If you can buff it, that is fine. But if it is always 112, I think it sucks.
Can rogue exiles drop endgame boss uniques? No, you have to fight the endgame boss uniques to get those.
That is fine.
Are you satisfied with on-death effects? And they said, give them a list of on-death effects that are unfair, and they will look at it. So then they probed further. Do on-death effects even need to exist? And they said they've never really thought of it like that. They think it's cool if monsters explode. It's a bigger problem in the end game than during the campaign.
Of course.
And they'll look at it. The surprising thing to me is I've listened to Jonathan and Mark a lot over the years in PoE 1 and PoE 2. And usually they have had lots and lots of like in-depth thinking on a lot of different theory crafting of game design.
Yeah.
They really seem stumped by the question about, do on-death effects even need to exist? They said that they've never really thought about it, which was kind of surprising to me. But anyway, they said that they would look at it.
By the way, they don't.
In my opinion, the on-death effects in the end game that create the stop-and-go play style of kill, wait because there might be a million explosions on the loot, and then go get the loot and then play, is one of the biggest problems, if not the biggest problem, with Path of Exile 2 in general, up there with like obviously crafting and stuff.
It's a big problem.
Can you quality or weapon assign ascendancy skills? You can't quality them because they aren't items. That kind of surprises me. So they're not having any plans to quality them.
It makes sense.
And weapon assign they weren't aware of, they'll fix it. Did you ever make the Ice Strike monk with the meditate on the pinnacle bosses with the guide that I made? Did you notice that you couldn't set meditate to your weapon swap? You had to press weapon swap, meditate, and then go back. So they said they would fix it. So that's great. That's a big buff to monks, for example.
Cool. I like that.
Will we be able to de-level gems? They don't want people to want low-level gems. They want to address it with gems being valuable to level up.
This is something that I wanted to talk about because I watched it live. And if I was doing the interview, I would have said this to them point blank. It is awesome that this is your philosophy, by the way, because this is like the philosophy of excellence. Hey, I don't want you to want to de-level a gem. I want you to want to have the best possible gem. So we are going to fix the gems so that you are always having the best possible gem you want. That is awesome. That is like an excellence philosophy. You know, you are aiming for the stars. But the reality is that shit is hard as fuck to do. Every patch, are you going to go to every gem to see if they are worth it? They are not worth it to the level. That is a pain in the ass. I would think that a simple, easier solution is just let people de-level the gem, dude, and you solve the problem. It is not the best solution, but it is a solution, right? That is my thinking. It is my thinking. Their philosophy and their mind and their heart is on the correct place, but that shit is hard to pull off, right? It is easier to just let people de-level gems or buy gems or whatever rarity people want or whatever. Remember on the first day where it felt like every mod had an undead effect? Yes, they have improved it already. I'll be honest, I don't complain about undead effects as much lately because I feel like right now it is not as fucked up as at the start. But apparently there are people still experimenting problems with undead effects.
I gotta be honest with you. This is kind of a surprising answer to me. It's like a big commitment from Grinding Gear games.
Hey, that's what I said.
For example, let's take Gas Arrow. I shoot Gas Arrow, and I need to detonate it. You don't know how I detonate it? With rank 1 Flame Wall. All I need the Flame Wall there for is to detonate the Gas Arrow. It doesn't have any other function. I don't need to level it up. So, it's an example of just normal playthrough where a low-level gem might be valuable to me. What they said makes sense. Like, people should want to level up the gems, and that's a good aspiration to go for.
Yeah,
but saying that we're going to make all gems worthy of leveling up in all scenarios, rather than just giving us a simple recipe to de-level our gems, is it's a big commitment. I'm kind of surprised that they went with that answer. I wouldn't be surprised if they changed their mind in the future.
Yes,
same. How do they feel about mana cost with plus skill levels? It's based on the design of the skill. If you spam it, it should be cheaper. If you take forever to cast it, like Hammer of the Gods, it should be more expensive.
That makes sense.
They did say that attack spells have had their mana cost way too high. So for example, same example, Ice Strike. If you got a staff with like +4 level of melee skills, did any of you find that your mana cost of Ice Strike was like impossible to use?
Not impossible, but very high.
Attack spells had the mana costs way too high as it scaled. They said they fixed it for the next patch.
Nice, awesome.
How do they envision the ideal pacing of PoE 2? Because
this is one of them. I have to pause in here, guys, because I have talked about this shit extensively, and I believe that I could chat with them for 1 hour just on this topic. And people ask them this, but I believe that people don't ask it the right way, or wait, they give an answer in the way they don't push back with the counter to what they are saying. So I have to step in on this shit, dude. The problem with this question is that they focus too much on time to kill on bosses and other shit, and they didn't explain to them, and on player power, they didn't explain to them that one of the necessities to be hyper powerful and fast and one-shot everything is that in the pinnacle content, if you don't one-shot everything, you are one-shot. The mobs are going at 200 miles per hour, and if you want the combat to be more meaningful, and they did say it, these words came out of Jonathan's mouth, the objective is that the combat is more meaningful. You have to slow down, not me. That would be cool too. The enemies, the game itself, the mobs, and not even the bosses, dude. The white mobs and the rares that have 6 modifiers, they are on crack. They are too powerful. They are too many, and they fuck you in the ass. And that is what makes the game, the combat not meaningful. Because you have to build in a way that you one-shot these motherfuckers so they don't one-shot you. If you don't fix this fundamental part of the game, then it is never going to be that way. I do think that they are trying to do it. The thing is that in the interviews, it is never actually stated that way because nobody asks it that way. But since Jonathan said that they are trying to make the combat more meaningful, and there was something else Mark said, I don't remember it specifically, but he said that in general, they were trying to bring the power down. I do think they are trying to take the game there, but it was never specifically stated that they are, it was stated that they are nerfing us. And some bosses, they are nerfing the health pool. But they never specifically say that they are slowing down the fucking cracked mobs. And that is one of the important things about this. I couldn't use Hammer of the Gods because my hammer gave me plus level 2 gems, lol. And that fucks up your mana pool. That is stupid, dude. That is why you have to go with blood magic and cast skills with HP instead of mana, dude.
They add things like leaping backwards and standing still and parrying. It feels very slow. They said it's hard to quantify. They want the bosses to take some time and for you to deal with some mechanics. I don't know, it's kind of hard to answer. What about monsters pushing you around the map? They're fixing those. The monsters should just push you to the side. The reason why they collide with you at all is so it feels like combat. I agree with them. It should hit you, move you to the side so you felt something, but it shouldn't drag you across the map. Are ailments supposed to be their own builds or in addition to existing builds?
Oh, this is something that it was important and they never actually said it. There were so many questions when they asked the question, good question. In the beginning, it is a good question. I said, hey, yes, this is an awesome question. But then they answered the question and there is something you could say really fast to them as a counter argument that really would nail down the actual point of the question and they never pushed back. And this is one again. I don't know if you guys know, but right now in Path of Exile, the Ignite, the Poison, and the Bleed magnitude depends on the magnitude of the hit that inflicts the ailment. That means, I don't know, that bleeding is 20 or 25. I don't know the number. I am throwing a number out there. When you apply a bleed, the bleed is 20 to 25% of the hit that inflicted the bleed. That means that if you make the hit bigger, you make the bleed bigger. That is how it works in PoE 2. The problem is, and this is what they should have said that they didn't ask them this, is when you are making the hit bigger to make the ailment bigger, at one point you say, why the fuck am I trying to make the bleed bigger if I could just make the hit bigger and that's it. And I just go for the hit. The bleed or the poison or the ignite becomes irrelevant because at one point I am using so much the hit that I might as well just go full in on the hit. And it isn't good or consequential or awesome to go full in on the ailment. This is the question they should have asked, and they didn't ask it, and this was unanswered, basically.
They like how hits apply the ailments, which simplifies stats and building a character in Path of Exile 2. So, for example, if you got damage to hits or attack damage, that would work with a bleed. But if you just had bleed on its own and it wasn't off of the hit, then hit damage and attack damage wouldn't scale bleed. They're trying to simplify it. And then they had a major discussion about ailments. It went on for quite a while. Essentially, they concluded there's a lot to look at and consider for the future. I think what was at the heart of this question is some people like to play just dot builds, the class fantasy, the damages over time. They want to just ignite everything or poison everything, and that's how they want to do their damage. But it's always connected to a hit of some kind, so it doesn't class fantasy-wise feel like a damage over time build. So we'll see if those are going to be possible later on.
Like, I am not against, by the way, I am just, in there I was just talking about why didn't they actually ask this question. I am not against the ailment depending on the hit, because it just depends on if they give you ways to scale the ailment, right? If they allow you to say, for example, if I hit 100 with the hit and you allow me to do, by some way of doing magnitude of ailment, 1000% of the hit on the ailment, then, hey, good, I go full in on that, right? And everything is fine. But I think that in the game, there is no current way of doing that. And right now, the best way of scaling the dot is with the hit. If you give me more ways of scaling the dot without scaling the hit, then people will like that. And you remain with this system that the dot depends with the hit, right? It is just that you scale the magnitude. There are some nodes right now in the skill tree that scale the magnitude, but it is not enough. It is still the best way to do it is scaling the hit. That is all that I'm saying. We need a GG interview with Jazz. Oh, brother, if that ever happens, that would be so fucking awesome. But I don't know if they will do it, because they will say, we are not going to do an interview with this crazy guy that doesn't know how to speak and people will hate it, you know. But hey, if it happens, I will be happy, dude. Ignite in PoE 1 is so strong. EA Ignite Ballista was so fucking broken. Hey, that sounds like a build that I would fucking like. Like playing a Mercenary Ballista Ignite right now in PoE 2 would be awesome for me. But it sucks. Ignite sucks. The Ballista sucks. And all of that sucks right now in PoE 2.
Are there plans to have skill gems work across multiple weapon types? No, because they want them to be uniques to those weapons.
I like this answer, by the way. I love this answer. I know that people that played in PoE 1, they are used to play whatever skill with whatever weapon. I don't like that. I think that is stupid. Why the fuck are you using a slash ability with a fucking blunt weapon? That doesn't make any fucking sense. I like that abilities are tied to weapons in this shit, because if I want to play with a mace, I want to play with a mace, because sometimes thematically you think, oh, I am going to play rolling slam, but then make a number wise in the game, the best weapon to use for rolling slam is, I don't know what the fuck, should be something stupid like an scepter or a wand, some shit like that. I don't want to play a rolling slam build with a fucking wand, but maybe numerically it turns out that is the best shit. No, fuck that. Don't allow me to do that shit. So I agree with this decision. Maybe I am in the minority, but I love this decision, and I like it that they are not planning to change it. It also just makes the build 1000 times more complex if they can be used by every weapon. That is also true. That is also true. This also simplifies the game, which is also cool, dude. Rolling slam on dagger. Yeah, that would be the stupidest shit I have ever seen, dude.
So like grenades with crossbows, right? As an example. Are the spawn rates higher now for King of the Mists and Simulacrum in the next patch? Yes.
Thank
Are
God
there
for
new
that.
boss specific drops? Yes, but they put that on the new content, not the existing bosses.
Cool.
Are they retuning any of the existing maps? There's a few touch-ups, but not much. That will be the focus next patch. They know that some maps are boring and need to be better, probably like Augury and Mire.
Mire is
Some
the worst
people
one.
get locked out or completely disconnected maps in their Atlas tree. Has this been fixed? The direct quote was, "The guy they told to fix it said it's better." So hopefully. And
that
also
is one of the things I was talking about earlier, by the way. That they say, yeah, we told the guy. Okay, cool. Hey, I am fine with that. Why not? They are delegating. They trust the guy to fix the shit. What is the problem? It's kind of how that works in PoE too. Some skills are weapon specific. I like that they are weapon specific. I hate it when they are not.
general connectivity between the maps is better.
And I know that in PoE 2 there are the spells. Basically, the spells are not weapon specific. It makes sense that the spells are not weapon specific because they are like a magical cast or whatever. But if you are physically hitting with the shed has to be able to physically hit, right? It makes sense.
They asked, are there trade improvements? Like maybe we get an in-game auction house? They immediately shut down the question, and any interviewer in the future, if you ask them about trading, you need to fear for your life. That's why I colored it in red. They were
that was an awkward moment. It was funny as fuck, dude.
Very unhappy about this question. On crafting, what was the idea of introducing?
And that is one of the questions that I would ask, by the way. I wouldn't ask, what are your plans for trading improvements? Because that is why he doesn't have anything to say about it. I would ask, what is your philosophy about trading? Why do you want me to trade? Because the game is balanced around trading, but at the same time, you don't want me to trade because you have this fucking clunky system to prevent me from trading because trading is too powerful. Then decide, you want me to trade or you don't want me to trade? What is up? That is a question that I want to ask. He has to have an answer for that shit, right? It makes sense, like clicking the well. Brother Art, motherfucker. Fuck clicking the well, dude. You know, you said it to piss me off. I know you said it on purpose to trigger the fuck out of me. Fuck the well, dude. I will have asked when we get swords, man. They are going to tell you the answer to that is, hey, we are developing them. They are coming in the future. We will let you know. So the answer is, you know, like that. A spin to win is awesome, dude. I like the well. No, you don't like the well. Nobody likes the well. Everybody hates the well. The dude that codes the well, so you have to click the well, he hates the well. Everybody hates the well, dude.
Recombinators. They want to introduce a crafting mechanic each league. It's a good way to use ground items. Should be a good way to get 3 or 4 good mods on an item. Then this is what Jonathan said. You can't get 6 T1 affixes from recombinating. Remember up above here when we were talking about did they reverse the tiers?
Exactly. I told that. Yeah.
Jonathan literally answered the question as the tiers from Path of Exile 1. So even Jonathan knows in his subconscious that they need to be flipped. If you don't know what I'm talking about, in Path of Exile 1, when you're looking at a sword and has 5 mods on it, one of the mods is tier 1 attack speed. Tier 1 is always the best, no matter what. Then tier 2 and tier 3. You don't know how many tiers there's going to be. Maybe there's 12 tiers on attack speed or whatever. But I always know if it says tier 1, it's the best. I know if it's tier 3, it's 2 away from the best. You know what I mean? When the best tier is 1, it's very easy to understand.
Yes.
They flipped it in Path of Exile 2 for some reason, and the community...
The other way around would be easy to understand too if it was hard cap. What I mean by that is, if every mod on every item had a hard cap of tier 5, then you know that tier 5 is the best, and it will be inconsequential too, that way. The problem is that the other way around, it depends on the mod, it depends on the item, it depends on the affix. So you can have an affix that is until tier 12 and another one that is until tier 4. So there is no way of knowing which one is the best. It's stupid. That way, having the tier 1 is the best way. That is why it should be that way. I like the well. No, you don't. In the well we trust. Fuck the well. I hope you eat us a well pet. Fuck you. I know you guys are telling it to piss me off and you are accomplishing it. Because the well sucks. I know you guys hate the well too. The well sucks dick.
Hates it. For example, if you get a wand with T6 lightning damage, how do you know how good that is? First of all, you have to know how many tiers there are of lightning damage. I have no idea. Are there 8? Are there 10? Are there 12? I don't know. So when you get tier 6 lightning damage, you just don't know how good it is. That's why the community keeps asking them to flip it. Make it like PoE 1, where 1 is always the best. Jonathan clearly agrees with this because he literally said you can't get 6 T1 affixes. He's talking about the tiers relative to PoE 1.
Exactly.
So you might think that that doesn't matter, but I actually think that would be a big improvement for the game. Will resistance swaps come to PoE 2 like in Harvest and PoE 1? That's supposed to be runes. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think this is such a great answer.
I am fine with that. You know why? Because I don't know what the fuck resistance swap with Harvest is because I didn't play that shit.
Because runes are being expanded to not just being resistances. So it's not just swapping runes like from resistance to resistance. It's actually giving up another stat. In PoE 1, you can just switch a fire resist to a cold resist if you go do harvest and pick some flowers. So this answer, I'm not saying that it's a bad answer, but this method of swapping resistances is severely nerfed relative to PoE 1.
That is true, because it is not the same of swapping a rune that swapping the actual affix in the item. Because sometimes you want to compound the actual affix on the item with the rune. So it is not the same. Of course, it is not the same. No. I like these changes so far. Like, I like the world system. No, motherfucker. Fuck you, dude! What the fuck?
Will the Huntress crit ascendancy be base or increased? Base. If you don't know what that means, that's a lot of crit for the Huntress. We just gotta...
It is how it should work, by the way, because if it isn't base, if it is just increase, it sucks. And why the fuck would you pick this shit? Since it is base, then it is good and people are going to pick it.
Hell of a lot stronger. Can you use the Tame Beast outside of the Huntress? Yes. I don't know why it has more letters there.
Of course.
How does the extra ring slot ascendancy node work with Ingenuity? Ingenuity is an endgame super god belt that buffs rings. And one of the new ascendancy slots is you get a 3rd ring. It works fine with the nice newly nerfed version of Ingenuity. So
of course, we knew Ingenuity was going to get nerfed. Now we have to see how it is nerfed, right? And it works fine with the 3rd ring. Okay, let's see what happens.
They nerfed the godly items, so it's probably not going to be that good. How does the minion for the tactician work? The thing that like follows you in the sky and shoots like whatever it is, the holy arrows. It's not an actual minion. It doesn't exist. So anything like nearby would not work.
That makes sense.
How does manifest weapon work? Another new thing. It copies your weapon and it does skills based on your weapon type it copied. So if you have a mace and it copies a mace, it's going to do like slams. Copies a bow, it's going to shoot arrows. It's not just going to, they said specifically, it's not going to be just a shitty auto attack. The weapon is going to do skills from that weapon type.
Cool.
And then dual wielding, they think you get your main hand only. Is Righteous Fire, which is the skill where you stand there and do absolutely nothing as a brain dead idiot and kill everything. By the way, I love Pox and I also love Righteous Fire. So don't take offense to that. Is that coming soon? No. Eternal Life, which is an ascendancy node for the Lich.
A lot of people want to go Lich just because of this point right here, this ascendancy point that practically will make you immortal if they don't do something about it. So let's see what they do about it.
I believe. Your life cannot change if you have energy shield. People are theory crafting that you might be able to be immortal with this. So they just straight up asked, are Liches going to be immortal next patch? They said, no, hopefully not. So they're probably going to be immortal.
They don't
Minions
know.
in the early levels die very easily. Have they considered buffing their life in the early game? Not currently, because Witch feels very strong. Not really sure if these two things are correlated. Yes, Witch is the minion girl, and witches are pretty good, but there could be lots of changes around witches. Shouldn't they actually look at the minions in a vacuum? But anyway, they said no. Witches are strong. Can you turn specters and tame beasts back to their original gems? Yes, they'll have a way to do that right after the patch. How does the specter and tame beast spell level impact the power and the cost? The levels make them stronger, but the cost doesn't go up. Okay. How is the spirit cost of specter monsters calculated? It has to do with the loot and the experience of the monster.
There was one dude that basically did a video about this, because just with the screenshot of the video, the showcase video they did, he calculated, oh, this works this way, boom, boom, boom. And he said, this is related to the experience of the monster. And that is the answer. Look at that. So that dude that made that 2-minute video explaining it was on point. Righteous Fire will come with Templar. Of course it will come with Templar. That is basically what they say. They didn't say Templar, but they said, oh, that ability will come with the class that you would think it should be coming with. Right? Of course it is with Templar, right?
And they squish some of it at the top so you don't get extreme costs. There are also manual adjustments after testing to make some cost more or less, but there's not too many manual adjustments.
Honestly, I don't remember who it was, because it was someone with like 200 subs. But I saw the video because Slurpee showed me the video. And it was the dude calculating, no, the spirit is calculated based on the spirit for the specter is calculated based on the experience of the monster you are converting to an specter. And it was true. That is what they said. I'm 100% doing a minion specter build. Go with the Leech, dude. The Leech apparently is going to be super overpowered.
Adjustments. Are you happy with the perfect Jeweler Orb drop rates? They're a little too low. The 5-link is also too low. And now you can just 6-link without a 4 or a 5-link. So if you get lucky enough to drop the perfect Jeweler's Orb first, you can just 6-link a gem.
Awesome. I love that.
Visual clarity on rares versus blues. Rares are supposed to have one visual mod, but it might not be perfect. They're going to work on it. They don't like to add glows, and they want to do something. They're just not sure what. They have something in test right now. Will they improve the search function in the passive tree? Yes, just not sure when. Grinding Gear Games, please fix it in PoE 1 as well. Any additions to the API? They could add tiers. They seemed open to fixing the API. Localization improvements, none in 0.2, but more languages are coming, but not immediately. If you die in hardcore, do you go to the hunt or go to standard? You will go to the hunt league. They didn't initially have you move to the same league with other people because they got mad when hardcore players died and passed them. This is like the ultimate like get good answer, which is
exactly
kind of hilarious, actually.
That is the correct way.
Visual clarity. Can you improve it with Delirium? Yes, they did. It's in the next patch.
Thank God.
Will they add private leaks? They will be in early access, but not right now.
Cool.
Will we be able to import our characters to Path of Building? Soon.
Nice. I love it. I love it.
So that's the update. Again, I'll post a link to Gazzy's full VOD, which should be on YouTube. There is more content here than what I covered. There's even more questions here than what I covered, but I tried to write down 90 to 95% of them and just give you the fastest summary that I possibly could.
You did an awesome job, by the way, Rax, with the summary. This is a great summary. The important shit, you did it fast as fuck. This is an awesome video, dude. Thank you very much. We were able to go over all this shit really, really fucking quick. And I love it, dude. I think that a lot of answers could have been hammered down more. A lot of them were really good. And I am happy with the direction the game is taking. Like, yes, I am a little bitchy boy that I would like to have the Druid and to have the Templar and to have Act 4. But hey, we will get there eventually. They are still putting a lot of work into the game. Their heart is still in the right place. I trust them that the game is going to continue to be awesome because the game is already awesome. So I don't have to say the game will be awesome. No, the game is awesome. it will just get better and better and better. So yes, thank you, Rax, for this awesome fucking video, my dude. What do you think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I a clown? Am I a genius? Let me know everything in the comments below. I love reading comments even when they don't agree with me. Also remember to like the video, to subscribe to the channel, all that cool stuff. Guys, thank you for being here. You guys are fucking awesome. God bless ya. And remember, don't be afraid ever, because this is just a ride.